Okay, this video is for everyone who wanted to put the PHAT Master on the go. Wanted to show you the proper way to do it. All right, if you guys aren't familiar, the PHAT Master was created to be a complement to the Master Blade and to pick up where the Master Blade left off, which was fully open with a taper blade. This is the chunk blade, just like the Master Blade, same shape, opens to the same size, opens to about a 1. And when I say 1, that's about a 1 blade, which a 1 blade opens to about 2.4 millimeters. And that's with the blade not zero gapped. It's with it set at the standard setting, which would be about 0.5, which I already checked this one. You see, it's about 0.5. And then this should open to close to about 2.4. And I got 2.2. Now, back to the PHAT Master. The PHAT Master was created to only take the Master cutting blade or Andis type blades. And the way that they did that is they made it proprietary by making this extra groove right back here, so that if you put any other type of cutting blade, if you push this PHAT Master all the way forward to get as much gap or as much length out of it as possible, your backside of your cutting blade would fall into that gap. So they try to make it proprietary, but there is that space in the middle right there where you still can put on a regular blade, you just can't push it completely forward. And in my opinion, you don't really want to push it completely forward, because then it goes from a 1A blade, which is a 1A would be the same as a 1 guard, which is about 3 millimeters. And that's not the same as a 1 blade, which is about 2.4. So there's a little bit of a gap in between the open taper on the chunk in this case, or just a taper blade, which this one opened to about a 2.2, which is almost a 1 blade. So there would be a gap, that 2.2 up to a 3, there would be a little something in there where you would have to probably use a half guard and come back in and take out that line. So if you take this and you don't actually push it all the way forward, you push it back, it may not open all the way to a 2, but it'll open to a 1.5, which I think is better. And it'll go directly from this chunk blade or master blade, and it will pick up right away from this, so that you're not using any guards. So next, I'm going to show you guys how to properly put this on, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about the blade falling off the back. So here is the back side of it. And like I said, most companies and most blades only have a gap in the middle right there. But what Andis did is they put a second gap right there. And that second gap makes it so that their cutting blades only fit this if you have it pushed forward. Because what happens is the cutting blades will fall into this groove right here and will start to make a loud noise, and nobody wants that. So eventually you just put the clipper away or take the blade off. So that was their point, is they only wanted people using Andis, which I don't think is cool. We should be able to use these on anything. Okay, so here is what I was talking about, where the blade rides. So if you have this on here, typically this blade is going to ride right in there. And it's going to slide back and forth, of course, right? So if you put it too far back, it falls into that gap, and then it's gonna make, when you open it all the way, it's gonna make a loud noise. And sometimes just get stuck, and then you're trying to like bring the lever back forward, and you can't because it's stuck. This one's a little more rounded. This cutting blade is a little more rounded, so yeah, it'll come out of there, but you don't want that. So what we wanna try to do is gap it so that the back side of that cutting blade is not going back and falling into that groove or that crevice. So we're gonna push it to where it's maybe right there, hanging off maybe just a little bit, but not all the way. So that's what I'm gonna do. So the cutting blade that I'm gonna use is the cutting blade that came with the Go clipper. Now, if you guys are familiar with the Go clipper was created with holes for a standard cutting blade and also for the Andis cutting blade. So that's why we're able to put the Fat Master on here. So I'm gonna use the Architect cutting blade because I think it works pretty good with this machine. The teeth work really good and it works really good with the Fat Master. So you're gonna put the spring right into the first little hole. Then you put the spring, other side of the spring into the other little hole. Push it down, make sure it's fitting good. Then you take your top blade or your non-moving blade, put it right there. Grab your first little Andis screw, which the Go clipper comes with Andis screws already so that you can use any Andis blade on the Go. Put your second screw. And I always go the opposite direction, like I'm taking the screw out so that you hear that little click. That shows me that it just fell into the groove. So now I can properly tighten it without cross-threading the screw or bolt. So I'm gonna just tighten it just very softly, not a hard tighten, but just so that I can still move the blade around on the top, but yet it's close to being tightened. So now what I'm gonna do is, instead of trying to push this blade all the way forward, like pushing it that way forward, getting as much gap as possible, because I don't know if you can see it, but that moving blade already, with it open, already fell into that gap. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna push the blade all the way that way, like you're trying to like zero gap. And you can see in here the amount of movement that you have. So I'm pushing it all the way that way. So now when I open it, that cutting blade, hard to see, but yeah, that cutting blade is still resting on this part of the blade and it hasn't fallen into the canal. So I'm gonna tighten this up. Little bit of movement, little turns. And then when you tighten it down harder, you start with this right side, then do the left side. Check out your blade, see if it's crooked or not, which in this case it is a little crooked. You can see. So what I'm gonna do is go back. I'm gonna actually look at it now, see if I got any movement to straighten it out. That looks straight, but I'm still pushed all the way this way with it, but I just straightened it out a little bit, right there, pretty much snug. Tighten this one all the way. Give a little counter pressure on this side so it doesn't move forward while you're tightening it. All right, now we're good. Okay, so now I'm gonna get my little measurement tool. So now we can see that this blade is going to go from about a 2.3 So remember, the chunk blade opened up to a 2.2. This one now is starting at a 2.3, so it's about the same. If not, here, let me do it again. It might be a little bit more. All right, I did it again. It says 2.5. So it's got about 0.3 millimeters of distance. So you can actually pick up a little bit higher than where that one is. And then I'll open it and we'll see how much it opens up to. And it opens up to a 4.6, which is almost exactly a 1.5 guard or a 1 guard fully open. All right, y'all, I hope this helped. You know how to put a Fat Master onto the Go clipper, the TPOB Go, and how it works in tandem with the taper blade or any other blade. It's just those other, fade blades don't open as much as a taper blade does. The taper blade opens a little bit more, close to about a 1/2 millimeter more than a regular fade blade. So yeah, so the goal with the Fat Master is to not have to use guards. So you start out with this one, you do your, your half line, you fade that out, and then boom, you put on the Fat Master and you pick up right there. You open it all the way, put a 1.5 line in, and then slowly fade it down, click by click. And then next thing you know, you got your full fade. Anyways, hope this helps. God bless.